So this is the video review, my first video review of the 2013 Kia Soul that we bought 2 years ago. And that's Anastasia right there.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah.
It's like Dad's wheel.
Yeah? So as you can tell by the age of Anastasia, she's nearly 2, and we've had this for 2 years, so if you're putting 2 and 2 together, you realize that we bought this car just for her. Yeah, this is for you. Yeah, this is your car. And I had a Civic Coupe before this, and I mean for kids it's just really not practical when you're trying to put people in the back seat. And it's not great for putting adults in the back seat either. So it was getting old and it had a lot of miles on it, and we needed a new car, so this was what we decided to get. And it was actually a car that was chosen by my wife because she's smarter than I am for picking things. I was looking at all sorts of different cars and coming up blank with what I wanted. I didn't know, and it was just frustrating. And then she brought up this car as one to consider, and I was, I hate Souls. They're so ugly. I just didn't want one. But on paper, it looked like everything that we needed, so we relented and took it for a drive, and eventually we bought it. And as far as buying goes, it was as good as it can be, I guess. So this is the Soul 2U, which is the second from the base model, but it has the bigger of the 2 engines that's available. The base model engine was a 1.6 direct injected 4, and the bigger engine was is the 2-liter multi-port fuel injected inline 4 16 valve, and it has, according to them, 165 horsepower, around about 153 foot-pounds of torque, I think. And it's a pretty good motor. It has continuous cam phasing, so it's sort of like it's like, I don't want to say it's like VTEC, because VTEC works with like a completely separate cam lobe, so it's an actual mechanical system, but this sort of just either advances or retards the intake and exhaust cams according to how it's revving. But I mean, it's still a pretty peppy motor. It doesn't have a whole lot at the bottom end, but once it gets around 3,500 to 4,000 RPM, it really sings. It's like I'm really quite impressed with it, and it gets up and goes. I think. Oh yeah, Anastasia has so much to say about it too. What do you say about it? Yeah. I think that it goes like 0 to 100 in about 9 seconds, which for a boxy economy car is pretty good, I think. I mean, my Civic was slightly faster, and that's sort of my baseline for a lot of this. You see, vroom. So it has no problem getting up and going when it needs to. And what's good about like the 6-speed automatic is that it actually has some decent passing power. So if you're going about 80 kilometers an hour or 90 kilometers an hour and you're behind someone old or someone slow looking at their fields, like where I grew up out of town, and they're going 90 and you need to hit the gas and pass them, this car can do it. It actually has the guts to do it, unlike the Golf, which is totally gutless. It's so wimpy. You have to make sure you have lots of room to pass with that, because it's just we're not going anywhere in specific here. I'm making this drive just for the sake of making the video and having my partner along with me. Yeah, I see her. Yeah. Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's ours.
Oh, That's pretty cool. And just going for a drive around. No problem. It has a sticker up here. I'll have to get a picture of it that shows the vehicle on two wheels and says avoid abrupt maneuvers and excessive speed, and sort of implies that this car is definitely going to end up on its roof if you try anything stupid. So, so what you doing, Anastasia? Yeah? Yes. Yeah? Is that what you think? I don't know if you can really tell in the video, but Anastasia has quite a bit of legroom back here. And like the back seat is absolutely massive for a car this size. Like, that is one of the first things that we noticed when we took it out for a test drive, because I think there's some BS, like the guy who's the salesman said that he needed to be the one that drove it off the lot for insurance reasons, and then it was like we drove a block. Hi. We drove a block, and then we switched spots, and I think I hopped in the back to start with. And then I moved to the front. But when I know when I was sitting in the back, it was like I had lots of legroom, and I mean I'm reasonably tall. I'm about 6 feet tall, and my legs are longish, and it's surprisingly spacious back there, and I think that's one of the best features. And there's like a massive amount of headroom here. So okay, now we go. Woo! Power. See there, you know, in the Volkswagen it's like it has 114 horsepower technically, and that's probably like 100, well, I'm 100% sure it's 114 horsepower at the crank. So what's getting to the wheels is probably like 80 if I'm lucky. It might not even be that much, but it is 114 of the most mild tired horses there are. Like it's like when you go to a horseback riding place in the mountains or something like that, and you say that you're a beginner, and they give you like the old experienced horse, and it's just like really old. So it's like this one, like in the Kia, they feel a bit youthful. They feel like they're ready to go, and you know, you give it a kick, and it's all right, and it'll jump to a trot. So it actually, like, it makes good use of its power. It's decent. I wouldn't say that it's fast by any means. I mean, you're not going to win any races with this. I mean, you'd be just kidding yourself. But at least it can get out of its own way. And it's a pretty light vehicle for its size too. Like, it's surprisingly light. I don't know if they make like parts of the unibody out of aluminum, or if it's just designed as such. I don't know. But like it's a pretty lightweight car. Oh, did you drop? Oh, just a sec. I can't. Oh, there it is. There. Okay, there's your thing. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah? Yes, if you say so. For driving, like for handling wise in this car, the steering is pretty numb. It has an electric power steering box, so in any car that I've driven with electric power steering, which isn't many, and I know if I have anybody who's watching this, which I highly doubt, that's driven an NSX, then they would say, oh no, the NSX has amazing electric power steering. It probably does, but I've never driven one. My point of reference is this Chevy Cobalt, my dad's Hyundai. I don't know what else I've driven with electric power steering really, but you know, this is obviously what I drive the most often that has it, and the steering feel is pretty isolated. I mean, you don't feel the bumps in the road, which maybe I guess is nice for some people, but you know, it doesn't offer much in terms of driving experience or you know, engagement. It just it just does the job, I guess. It's a pretty tight ratio steering, but it's just, there's no feedback. I mean, you can't, if you were pushing this car to its limit, you wouldn't really feel it in the steering. You wouldn't know it until you start hearing the tires. And most cars, you kind of feel it in the steering before that. You know when you're getting close to that limit. But this one, not so much. It's pretty numb. I mean, electric power steering is a good system. It's definitely way more reliable than hydraulic power steering, or at least in my experience. I mean, there's nothing in it that can really leak. This feels heavy, but it feels kind of like artificially heavy, because it's sort of like heavy at first and then it kind of gets lighter the more you turn, which I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's sort of the general feel of it. Kind of has that like, whoa, and it's like, about like 3,500 RPM. It's like, and it's just feels happy. The interior, if you can tell, I don't know, but in a word, it's plastic, and there's a lot of plastic. It's gratuitous amounts of plastic. The top of the dash is it's covered with this like rubbery feeling stuff, which is nice to touch and looks good, but is hard to clean. It gets dusty and the dust kind of sticks, and it's hard to, like, it doesn't just, it doesn't just wipe off, right? The steering wheel's quite thick, so it feels pretty nice to grip, and it's not a very large steering wheel. And so, I mean, it feels fine to me. And the shift knob, I mean, it's an automatic, so I mean, how much do you really have to hold it? It wouldn't really matter, but I guess it would look nicer if it was leather. I don't really care. You can see, like, on the seat it says Soul like everywhere in the car, which some reviewers I've read have said, oh, it looks so tacky, but I think it's okay, and I understand kind of the psychology behind it, or at least this is what I think. I'm probably overanalyzing it, but what I think the psychology behind it is they have to put something in the car that's sort of pleasing to anyone who buys the car. If you buy this car, chances are you liked it in the first place, right? So you like the Soul. We put Soul there. You like Soul? No problem, right? As far as trunk space goes on this, it doesn't really have a lot. Like, it's actually pretty small. Like, it's like this, which is about 23, 24 inches, maybe 2 feet. Maybe 2 feet of space, if you can see that far back. There's a stroller back there on its side, and when the stroller's in there, that's about it. That's pretty much all you can put in there. A stroller and nothing else. The back seat's big, so you could fold down. I could fold down half of it, since Anastasia's all the way over on that side. Oh, did you fall asleep? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, quit talking so loud. Oh, my little girl falls asleep. Back to the Kia. About 10 years ago, like 2005, I never would have dreamed of buying a Hyundai or a Kia, or I thought that they were just junk. Like, they've come so far, like, they've come a long ways. In terms of, like, what you get for what you pay, I would say it's pretty much unbeatable. I mean, it has hands-free phone, and the volume controls are on the steering wheel. It has heated seats. It has cruise control, of course, air conditioning. It has a good safety rating. It gets decent gas mileage. It has one of the stereo is honestly, like, for especially for a base model car, because I think the upscale one had like an infinity stereo or something, but for the base model car, like, this stereo sounds fantastic. Like, I can't turn it on because I don't want to play any music that I don't own the rights to and then get in trouble, but take my word for it. And I mean, like, over the video and over the computer, you wouldn't be able to tell, like, oh yeah, that stereo sounds really awesome, but Nah, you wouldn't know. But like it does sound really good in my opinion. Anyways, like it has good bass. It has nice mids. It sounds pretty good to me. Like the sound's accurate. Oh, somebody let me into the traffic here. Thanks, friend. It's a surprisingly good car, and I think in summary for this car, I would say like I don't know how they can be this good for so little. That it's better than its price would make it seem. And I as far as value goes, like I said before, I would say it's unbeatable. The only downfall that I see to this car is the traction control system. I don't like it. I guess maybe it is okay, but I don't like it because it cuts in like way too soon. As soon as it detects like a little bit of slip, like even if you're just kind of like going around a corner and you hit a pothole, which in Edmonton is gonna happen every single time you go around a corner, but you hit a pothole and your wheel's gonna spin a little bit because it kind of goes in the air for a second, and then as soon as it detects that slightest bit of spin, then it just like cuts power and you just go forward because like all of a sudden, you know, you're leaning back because you're accelerating and then no power, and then that's what happens. So that's a bit of a disappointment, but that's pretty minor. I mean, if you're not driving around like a hooligan or trying to slide around corners, then you'll be fine. I think most people would probably just be totally fine with it. But this car, like I was saying, it's better than the price would seem. It seems like it's a hell of a deal. That's what you could call it in summary. Anyways, I'm back home now, so that will be it for this video. Thanks for watching.
I mean, my Civic